Hello, it's me Harley, back at it again for yet another video, and today's video is really rather special because it's the first video I'm ever going to make which has been actually asked for. So thank you so much, Jack Bickers. Sorry if I'm getting your name incorrect because I'm pretty bad at that. Anybody will tell you in real life that I'm really bad with names. Unfortunately, I can't do exactly as asked. Jack very nicely asked if I would do a video on my worst friendship experience, and I am so sorry, but I can't do it. Not at the moment. I can do in hopefully a few months' time. Hopefully it won't be another year, but currently, I can't tell you my worst friendship experience because we are still dealing with a lot of legal difficulties and problems at the moment, and yeah, until I'm finished with all the legal side of the matters, I can't go into detail about it. I'm sorry, this'll have to do as a substitute. So where shall I begin? This story dates back a long time. In fact, it starts off when I was in the first year of primary school or reception. This friend of mine, I will put quotation marks around friend because it was very much a social relationship in the respect that the only real reason why we spoke sometimes was because our mothers had both worked in the same workplace. Generally, I wouldn't speak to him and interact with him for no other reason than we were just very different people and we shared very little in common. Bit of a disclaimer, these people I have no hard feelings against now. I'm going to be talking about two people in particular, and neither of them I wish any hate or upset towards, so if for whatever reason people should figure out who I'm talking about, I don't want them to have any backlash from this video. I'm just getting my side of the story out because my side is a side that very rarely gets heard because I was always the introverted geek and people would much more happily accept what rumours were being spread by the popular people. We'll start with the drama. We'll start getting with the good stuff. This guy, ever since we were in reception together, we weren't in the same class but we were in reception, had this best friend. Now then, his best friend never liked me, in the slightest, was always, from the get-go, obnoxious to me. And I never really understood why, but it didn't really matter at that point because when I was in year 3, or rather at the very end of year 3, just starting year 4, I left that primary school to go to a different one. I had no contact whatsoever with these two individuals for several years. Not until I ended up going to the same school as them again in year 9. Now then, year 9 was rather difficult for me because at this point I was regularly getting physically beaten up and things. And at this point there had been a lot of rumours going around about me, like absolutely ridiculous ones. There were ones where apparently I'd let giraffes free or something at a zoo. I'm not entirely certain where that came from. There was a rumour going around I was pregnant. Yeah, because I've never even had a boyfriend. I still haven't had a boyfriend. So how the hell could I have been pregnant? So bog off, mate. Apparently I've been pregnant since year 7, so either I'm having the world's longest bloody pregnancy that's ever been recorded, even longer than an elephant who only takes about 20 months, or it's the bloody Antichrist. So either way, it would would be interesting. But yeah, so there was ridiculous rumours going around about me, and at this point my friend had basically completely turned against me. He wouldn't even speak to me civilly anymore. Any opportunity he could get, he would insult me and try and get me down. But it was all verbal. And to be honest with you, I didn't care that much about it. I had every insult you could throw at somebody shouted at me on a daily occurrence. And as I said, I was getting physically beaten up at this point. He was not my top priority. This guy, I was like, I can deal with your insults. They don't bother me in the slightest. So I'm not even going to mention you to the school because I have bigger fish to fry. However, his best friend, by this point, by year 9, he was pretty well known for being rather violent and getting into fights. And for some reason, his grudge against me had grown so strong that he would regularly make threats to, like, attack me if he ever saw me. Things started really escalating in year 11. Now then, years 10 and 11, if you're not English, is the time we do GCSE. But this was our first, like, real deal stuff. Like, this is the stuff that you put on CVs and show your boss. I decided I was going to do history GCSE. And in that GCSE, I was put into the same class as my ex-friend. And yet again, I was bullied by him, and he would insult me and have a go at me constantly. I'm not kidding you. Every opportunity he got, he would have a dig at me. And this happened mainly in history lessons, because it was the only lesson we actually shared with one another. And I was fed up of being people's punching bags. So I must confess, I would retaliate a bit. I would snap back and insult him back. But as I said, I saw no real big deal in it because I had worse problems. I was just, again, ignoring him. Well, apparently this caused him and his best friend to have rather a lot of conversations about me. And as you can probably guess, they weren't pleasant ones. He decided it was going to become a physical thing. This guy, I'm minding my own business, just going about, talking to a couple of my friends in the school playground. I didn't have a lot, but I had a couple, and I was just being quiet. He comes storming up to me really aggressively. Now, this is a sporty guy, and I'm a little chubby, weak girl. He was intimidating. At that point, I wasn't doing any form of self-defense, so I was pretty much at his mercy. He comes up to me, face to face, gets right close, and I'm like, oh, hello. And he goes, reaches into his pocket, pulls out something, and flicks a lighter in my face. Looks me dead in the eyes. He lit the lighter and went, one day, I'm going to burn you. Who says that? What did I ever do? I literally was like, oh, okay. So at this point, I went to the teachers and I went, he has threatened to burn me. He has threatened to set me on fire. What are you going to do about it? And the school went basically, well, we'll tell him off. That never actually happened. He literally never had teachers come up to him and say, you know what, it's probably not the best idea to threaten to burn someone. Well, a week later, I'm walking down into town to meet up with my mum. I see this guy really awkwardly close to me. Like, he is following me and making it clear he is wanting to fight. and he is insulting me and chatting with a couple of his other mates, all of them egging him on, and all of them going, yeah, tell that what's what, and being very vulgar. And honestly, I was scared because I knew something was going to happen. Then, using his cigarette as a flame, as a way of lighting it, he set fire to my coat. I am not joking you. I burnt myself putting out the flames he tried to ignite me entirely with. I was really lucky that I saw him reaching towards me to light me on fire. He goes running off, bolting off down the street. And understandably, I am really, really disturbed at this point. I am in floods of tears. I am a nervous wreck, and just looking at the scorch marks on my coat and the burns on my hands and things. And I'm like, okay, this is the first time I've been in a situation where I am most definitely going to have to get the police involved. And I hadn't got the police involved because, honestly, I'm not a confrontational person. Unless I have to, I will not get the police involved. Because I kept praying and hoping that the school would one day do something about it. Anything at all. I was terrified. I called the police. I still had this cigarette that he tried to set me entirely on fire with, and I had an interview with like a policeman at my house telling him what happened, and I was informed that they were going and giving severe warnings and stuff to the boy. Me and my parents had come to the conclusion that we hoped that by sending a police officer over to him, it would sufficiently rattle him for him to leave me alone. It didn't. Things got worse, and if you're thinking about what's worse than having somebody set you on fire, I'll continue. I hadn't noticed, but one day he decided to follow me home from school, and from this he found out where I lived. Now then, I don't know if you've ever been scared living in your own house, but that is a horrible feeling. It was at this point he decided he was going to smash my parents' cars. We had 3 cars out on the front of my house because we only have a double garage and both of them are taken up by the vintage cars. He smashed the back windscreen of our shopping trolley. Ooh, sorry. Our shopping trolley car, scratched the paint off my mum's convertible, and smashed the headlights of my dad's car. All in one night. Well, this is where we drew the line. But it was another thing to ignore the police warning him to stay away from me and vandalising my parents' property. And the only reason why we found out that it was him who did this is because he boasted about it to all his friends on the internet, in real life and at school. That still blows my mind to this day, so now he can't come near me. He's now allowed nowhere near me, and I am so grateful for that. So that is the story of how basically my friend encouraged his best friend to set me on fire. So I'm hoping that Jack, who recommended me do this video, is satisfied with this little bit of drama that happened in my life. Thank you for listening if you listened all the way through. Thank you for listening if you only listened for the first 2 minutes and went, nah, I'm bored. I'm off, mate. So, toon pip or beans, and hopefully you'll never be set on fire.